Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And Rimuru, Space Rimuru, OG support unit, reroll target number 1 when the game first came out, has received a skill fusion with this latest Visions of Coleus meta. And it seems to be pretty good. So it turns his 40% attack buff across the board into a 40% attack buff and 30% alt resistance down, which is an AoE. So that means that you will do inherently a lot more damage because you'll have the same attack buff, which is still pretty good as far as today's standards are concerned for an old unit. And you will be doing a lot more because of this alt resistance down. So we're going to go and put him on the new Visions of Coleus team since he does fit on that category, and we're going to try and see how much impact this new buff has as far as some other substitutions for supports that we could bring. So this should be entertaining. I'll get the skill leveled up and then we'll get started. Okay, so as you can see from this image right here, this is the damage that we did with the previous team during Blanc's showcase, maybe a day ago, a couple days ago. But we did 4.5 million damage, and that was using a team that was very similar to this. It's just that instead of Rimuru, we had EX Space Violet, the other Space Violet, the other EX Space Violet. Okay, yeah, you get what I mean. And her skill is a 55% alt resistance down. So it is 25% more than what Rimuru's going to give. But Rimuru's also giving us an attack buff. So now we're going to see if he can match that 55%. I'm thinking not, because he is such an old unit, and, you know, the old Violet is still a premium EX character. So I think we'll do like 4 million, maybe. It's still going to be a very hefty amount, but I don't think it's going to do quite as much as an EX character's support buff would. But, you know, we're here to do science, right? So let's find out by doing science. Alright, we finally got a decent turn 2. It's always... all of the RNG happens on turn 2, because turn 1, you just orb change, and you call it good, and you send 6 blues. That's nothing to scoff at. But turn 2 is where the RNG really kicks in, because if you don't have a good hand, and you can't orb change out of it, then your run is kind of just over. So we're going to bring Guy in for Hinata, and we'll bring Rimuru in for Blanc, because all 3 of these units have turn 3 protection traits, which is good for this team, this stacking team. We had to turn that off. So it's just going to help us get more protection gauge throughout the fight, as long as we can make it work, because, you know, Water Shion that's attached to Hinata is turn 2, so next turn, her and Blanc on turn 4, you know, will give us extra protection gauge, and then, you know, we'll just keep on cycling our units in and out, in and out. And then if we happen to get ults for them, well, then we don't have to really care about that, because Blanc is going to change them all. So we're going to get a lot of protection gauge right here. It might not be a full another double bar, but it's going to be very, very close, which is always going to be helpful. We crit there, so not great. Okay, we can work with that hand. And how much extra gauge? Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, regardless, sending a full hand of blues is going to get us a double gauge or double protector next turn anyways, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But we can do both of these converts right here, get another full orb send, get one more stack on Violet, and then we'll bring these 2 in. It doesn't really matter that much because we're going to have a double gauge. Whatever they're going to give us next turn is going to be wasted. But it's always good to get into that habit of swapping your units out for maximum gauge increase. Just, you know, for future events. And so you are always aware of what's going on and how to use your units with their actual traits. All right, that's a good hand right there. Let's dump Hinata out of here for Guy. Yeah, let's do that. We could use the orb change here. We can use the alt swap, so we get a full hand of blues. Perfect. You know what? We'll bring Rimuru in here as well for Blanc. Alright, and we'll get the double stack on Violet. So we're going to get, what, the 152%, probably? I don't think we can go much higher than that in 8 turns. Like, I physically don't think we can go higher than that. I don't think we can get enough stacks in 8 turns to go past that. But, you know, we can always try. So, okay, another perfect, well, I wouldn't say perfect, but it's a very good hand. So, there's another stack right here. And then if we send 6 blues, we should be able to get another double gauge because we're going to bring in the other 2 units. So let's do that now. Let's use Guys first since he's going to do those greens. Good. And then Hinata comes in, which it's not great. We're bringing a water unit in on Hinata's nuke turn, but we got to do what we got to do. So let's swap the alt. Let's use the orb change. This will not get... No, okay, we're fine. We're looking pretty good. We're going to easily get Violet's ult here. EX ult here. Sorry. Just ate lunch. 54,000 damage. Looking pretty good. Alright, another good orb change hand. Alright, go. She hit Blanc. Awesome. Another double stack. And we are on turn 6. So I think we're looking pretty good here. So we'll bring Guy and Rimuru in... Actually, no, we gotta... Turn 7. Okay, so, I mean, either way it would have worked. Doesn't matter. We'll bring Guy in for Hinata, just wait so we get a water character out of here. We'll use the swap, we'll use Guy's orb change, another full hand of blues, and this will get us the EX ult for Violet, so we'll be ready to go. And we'll get the ult for Blanc as well. Sorry about that. That was gross. Okay. Okay, just keep on giving me good hands to swap in for. Alright, so yeah, we're going to get this stack, and we're going to get 2 more stacks next turn. We'll be looking pretty good. We got to get Guy out of here. After we use his orb change, though. After we use his orb change, and we'll bring in Hinata... Yes. Okay, cool. And then we'll get maximum gauge because we've got Blanc and Hinata here. And then we use the alt swap one more time. It does get fairly expensive after a while because it's not like a 0 cost or 15 cost. It's a 25 cost. But in exchange for just the viability of converting multiple alts, it's totally fine. And we're going to be at cap anyways, so it doesn't really matter too much here. Yeah, okay. I was going to think about doing the Hinata Orange skill, but I don't think it's really that important. Yeah, double stack, 400 points. We've got enough to use everything. Now, how much damage are we going to do here? Are we going to do 4.5 million? Are we going to do much less than that? Find out today on Dragon Ball Z. Not really. Alright, so there's the space buff for Violet. We'll bring Guy in for Hinata, use his alt buff, and then we'll bring Space Rimuru in, and we'll get the 40% attack and the 30% alt resist down. And, you know, that's the whole point of today's showcase, is to figure out just how good that's going to do. Let's turn the Violet alt on as well. Keep us in a little... Oh, that didn't actually work, did it? No, it did not. Alright, there we go. And then 2 more stacks. So are we going to be at 152 or are we going to be one higher, actually? I don't know. I do not know. Well, we can send the one Violet ult, or orb, and that will kind of give us a barometer. So Violet is at 152. Okay, so yeah, I don't think you can get more than that amount of stacks, that amount of extra attack, unless you go past turn 8. Okay, so what's Violet's attack stat right now? 35.5? Plus the attack traits here, plus the stacks here, plus the space attack there, plus the weakness strike, plus the magic attack, plus the synergy, plus the standard attack. Okay, 4 million, here we come, right? That did 262. All right, that's pretty equivalent, actually. Hold on. 262 is, I think, what we did with the other Violet. But then again, with the other Violet, the normal orbs aren't being buffed. It's just the ult that's going to increase its damage. So how much is this? 4.5. Was that actually more? Was that actually more damage than the other one? Hold on. Okay, so here was the turn with the space violet, the 2 space violets. We did 155. No, actually, hold on. No, this is the RIMURU. Yeah, this is RIMURU's that we just did. 4.5569809. So 4.55 million damage. But if we look at what we did with violet, it's 4.54. So it's actually a little bit more damage. Not, not by a ton, but it's still more. Ooh, that's pretty interesting. I didn't think we would be able to match it, much less go above it. Ooh, that means that Rimuru's skill fusion is actually much, much better than I thought. Because we're missing 25% ult resistance, which is calculated at the end of all the buffs, and it's based on the ult damage, which is also calculated at the very end of all the buffs added together. Ooh, it's a cheaper skill as well. Now, the thing you got to keep in mind is that by having that old space violet is that you do have the versatility of swapping her in to convert blue orbs yourself. But if you're running this specific team format, it's not really that big of a deal, because you've got the greens covered with Guy, you've got the oranges covered with Violet, and it's not really that big a deal. But that's actually pretty interesting. And, we're also using Violet at half power, because we're not nuking with a physical character, so we're not getting this crit damage. If we were, then this skill would be vastly superior, and we were doing crits, and Guy was giving crits to a physical nuker. That would make a lot more sense than Rimuru. But that's pretty good. That's really good, actually. Okay, let's test out on a few other teams that are not going to hit 4.5 million friggin' damage. But, a more, I guess, not realistic, but toned down team is where we'll put that. Alright, so next in the Rimuru showcase, we're going to put him on a kind of wonky Space 2.0 team. They are space units, they are physical. Leon is the nuker. He's not giving himself an attack buff, he's giving himself an ult buff. And it's a pretty hefty personal ult buff for 80%. So the fact that we're going to give him more attack now and lower the ult resistance on the team will be pretty helpful. We're also going to bring Rain. If you don't have Rain, I don't honestly use her that much, so I figured now would be a good time. You could very definitely put the hero on the team and give them crit, but we're going to get crit anyways from Frey, because she gives physical allies crit, and she gives us 40 points, which makes it easier to use a bunch of skills. So normally the protector for Space 2.0 is Guy, and he would give an AoE debuff and ult gauge, but I don't really think we're going to need that here. So let's try it out. And we don't have a starting set hand yet, so we'll be back after 20 friggin' attempts. Alright, well, it took a while, but we got a natural hand of blues turn 1, so we're gonna run with it. Let's bring in Leon for Rain, and then we'll have our nuker and our 2 orb changers up front. So we're going to get binded in, I think, for 2 turns here. So nothing too spectacular, but I do want to make sure that we can orb change, even though we have Frey, who's going to handle a lot of the orb changing anyways. But this just ensures that we'll have Isis available for her green buff on top of everything else. And then we'll also have the Charm from Sufia for 1 turn, which will definitely just help us get Leon, because we only have 2 orbs for him. But everything should work out, so let's go ahead and green buff here, and then we'll put the Charm on somebody, doesn't really matter who. And then we'll use Frey. This will give Leon crits, not Sufia and not Isis, because they're magic, but, it'll give Leon what we need. And then when we're ready to nuke, we'll have enough points to use his 2 skills, and Rain's buffs, and deep buff, I guess. And then also Rimuru's buff, which is pretty expensive. all things considered. So let's spread the damage even more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so yeah, almost a double fray, looking pretty good right there. And we're binded, I think, for one more turn, and then we'll be free to rampage around. Got a natural crit. Okay, so yeah, that's why we left the orb changers up front, because we wouldn't be able to get out of this unless we had Isis available here. So it was a good decision to do that. We'll do Charm on Millum, Dino, whoever, whatever. That works. But go ahead and use Frey again. Give him another crit. He'll get the ult regardless. Even if he didn't have an orb, because we have the Charm, it would cover that extra tiny little bit. Everyone's going to have an ult here, technically, so that is okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We've got a double Fray, and we've got an ult, which means we have plenty of points to go ahead and nuke next turn when we can bring in Rain and Rimuru. So this actually worked out quite well. I don't know if it's going to kill, and Isis took a hefty bit of damage right there. But, well, she almost has an EX ult, if she was able to have an EX ult. Okay, so let's do this, and then let's do this. Alright, so we'll do the 80% ult and 100% instant damage. We'll lower their physical resistance and their defense. We'll raise our attack, lower their ult resistance. So 4,000 damage. Alright, yeah, nothing to write home about. And then we'll give everybody on this front now is physical, so everybody will be able to crit. And then we can use the space resist and crit resist down, the instant damage, which I guess we don't really have to do that, but sure, why not? It hurts her. Yeah, alright, cool. And I think we're not going to use the defense. I think we'll be okay here. So let's find out how much damage Leon does now with the extra attack and the ult resistance down buff. It should be pretty hefty. Let's follow up on Lumi, because she's the healer. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. And Leon's ult is not something I see very often, so we'll watch this. It's a pretty good looking ult. Glorious End. How much do we do here? Like 120 maybe? Maybe more? 62. Oh my god. Get out of here. Are you serious right now? 62,000? There must be something wrong. We must have like pierced or something the entire board. Maybe that, maybe we're just been spoiled on Big Mommy and Big Daddy damage on stacking teams nowadays, huh? 62,000. All right, I'm gonna check that. Hold on. All right. Well, he most definitely did 62,000 across the board, which is pretty pathetic. But we are in a spot where we can get his ult again, and then we can do it without the Rimuru buff, and we can see how much extra support Rimuru gave bitch-ass Leon. And then laugh even more at the terrible power creep that has happened in this game. And by terrible, I mean great, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Let's do this. Man. Times have changed. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, we're doing 7,000. 15k, yeah, 15k right there. We're gonna get ulted by Lumi. Alright, it's fine. She's gonna hit somebody. Alright, that's not a lot of damage at all. Cool. Wind resistance down. Okay, let's try this again without this buff. So we'll do the ult, we'll do the resistances, and then, I mean, I don't think it's gonna kill. It might kill Lumi, but it's not going to kill Dino and Millum. Let's do... We don't have to do that one. We can do this one. Because that's all that matters. Like, well, I guess if we do the instant damage, we might kill. Sure, why not? For funsy onesies. We'll use it. So, space, damage, and hurt herself again. 12,000 right there. So, it's more effective when, after you use all the other debuffs. Alright. How much do we do without the attack buff and the ult resistance down? Let's try and take out mill him, because I'm fairly certain Valentine is dead. Alright, and we do 31k, so almost double the damage. Almost double damage we got off of Rimuru's buff alone. So that, I mean, no, it's not a lot of damage to begin with, but it's a very old team. It was... Was it the first AoE meta? If I'm... This came... I think this was the first AoE meta, which is why I didn't summon on it a lot when it first came out. So yeah, it's definitely been power crept. AoE units are much, much better now, but the fact that Rimuru doubled our output by himself is pretty... It goes to show how good his support buff really is. And obviously, if you put him on a big, big stacking team, his buff will go much further as far as how much damage you're getting. But on with a weak nuker and a weak team, it's not going to look as impressive, but it's still doubling the damage at the end of the day. So I don't really think we need to finish this, because we got what we need to see out of this. Let's go somewhere else where it might look a little bit more impressive. Okay, so the final team we're going to put him on is the first anniversary team with Dark Milim, Dark Veldora. Technically, she gives herself an attack buff already on her ult, but it's only 15%, so it's not that huge. It will be overshadowed by Rimuru's 40, and then also he's going to lower the ult resistance. And this is a much more damaging team, so it will look probably a bit more impressive than the last showing, but not as impressive as the first team, because that's, the new meta, and that was a fuck ton of damage. So, and we do have a set starting hand here, so I might change their supports up into the skill points, so we'll do that, and then we'll just jump right in. Okay, so change it up, so we have 42 points to start out, so we can use both the Isis, Orb Change, and Green buff. It's just that turn 2 has a lot of RNG, so if it doesn't treat us well, then we'll probably just come back until we can get a good turn 2, and then we'll kind of go from there. So we'll see how this treats us for now. But, I mean, this should be a fairly good team to test on, because it's a good middleweight team. It's not a super light AoE team, but it's not obviously a super heavy blue stacking team. We can work with that, actually. Okay, so that's good. We don't have to make a cut then. So, let's use the Orb Change, let's use the extra skill point and the crit resistance down. Every time we use a skill, we're getting an extra 5% on Veldora's magic buff as well, and also resetting the costs for our orb changes and everything, so we can continue to use them at low skill points. And now we can use the Isis orb change again, and we'll be looking pretty good. I mean, we got a lot of Milim orbs right here, so this is actually a very, very good run, because we already have her ult. We're not going to hold on to it, though, because we're here for another 6 turns or so. Okay. That is an unfortunate hand right there, because we cannot do anything about that. So, I think we just send these oranges and call it a day. Let's use another debuff right here. Let's get rid of the Milim ult, because there's no point in holding on to it right now. Maybe I could have put her in the back, and then brought her back in, maybe, for someone who has more orbs. Oh well, we've got plenty of time, and the greens will give us a lot of gauge. Yeah. Okay, so, I mean, we can still get out of this, because we can still use this, we can still use the green buff, and then we can reset everything with Veldora again, and then use the Isis buff and Orb Change, and just keep that going. Oh yeah, okay, so this is working out. It maybe wasn't great on that last turn, but as long as we can get some more Milim orbs, we'll be fine, which we only need one more. So we're going to have everybody's ult here, except Milim. Okay. Except Milim. 17.8. He's already losing, like, so much of his health. I do believe we have to take Milim out. That was a turn off. Okay, so Milim has to stay in then, which is fine, because we have no friggin' orbs for her anyways, so... And we have oranges again. Oranges are the bane of my existence on this team, because they, for some reason, decide to make Grand Admiral Diablo the orb changer, but he's not magic in a magic meta, I don't know what intern decided on that smart idea, but he got thrown off the building a year ago. So his legacy still lives on. You know, I'm just gonna yoink that. I'm just gonna yoink it. We have to leave Milim up front now. So let's just do this. Let's continue to get more stacks of Veldora. Because he's almost capped out. One more skill and he's capped. So will this get us very close? Okay. So we'll do this. We'll give another Shinsha ult so we can hold that in the back. Not that I think he's going to live a full power Milim, especially with the extra ult resistance and the extra attack, but it's nice to have. Okay. Those oranges. Those oranges, man. Alright. We got another double. So now we're capped out on Veldora's power at 70%. So no matter what we do, it's not going to go above that. But we still need to have a decent hand of greens. So we shall orb change. We'll lower his resistance even more, get more skill points on these greens to make up for the fact that we're not sending a full 6 orb send. We'll take Shinsha out. Yeah, we'll take Shinsha out, because she's not the... I don't really care about her ult. And this will give us another green, so that works. And then these debuffs will drop off of Milim right before on turn 8 when we're ready to nuke with her. And that's a good hand right there. Okay. And... How many points we need to ult? 1, 2... Plus the 80, plus the 55... Okay. I think, yeah, if we do this, we use the orb change, we send everything but the Milim ult, we'll have enough points, plus we'll have another gauge if we do this. Are they still buffed by Isis? They should be, yeah, 2 more turns. Awesome. So yeah, I think we are good to go here. Perfect. Alright, Isis, I don't care about her damage. Cool beans, whatever. My debuffs are going away. His buffs are leaving, so we can do our full power nuke here, and that will be the end of the Rimuru showcase as well. So Isis can go away for Rimuru. We'll use his attack buff and ult resistance down. We'll bring Shinsha in. And now she's at full power because it's turn 8. So after turn 8, it goes to a 70% dark attack and dark resistance down, alt buff, crit buff, and then we can use Veldora to give us a 70% magic damage, and then reset that skill, even though we don't really need to. We'll just do it now. So another 5% crit resistance down. And now we're ready to go. This should be a decent amount of damage right here. Very decent. Let's send 1 orb, and then hopefully it doesn't kill him. Actually, how much health does he have? I don't think he'll die, so let's do that. So the 1 orb, and then the ult, 65k, and the ult does 700,000. That's actually pretty good for last year's anniversary. That's actually a pretty good number right there. And that wasn't overly difficult to do. I mean, yes, we are missing another orb changer on the team, but otherwise the team runs fairly well. And even if I didn't have Rimuru, I would have put like Light Raphael in there, or Octagram Valentine for the extra alt buff. Like, normally there's other substitutions we would put, but I think Rimuru has shown himself to be a pretty decent support, even if he is one of the OG characters. I really like his skill fusion overall, because it just made it so much better than what it was, and it actually puts it in line with a lot of buffs that we get nowadays that cost more points than it. So overall, Rimuru skill fusion, A+ in my book, very, very good. It's, just still very unfortunate that it is locked behind that 100 level paywall. I really wish they would change that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.